New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here come the girls. Way more than merely factual. If you want to know the secrets of a life, it's free. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Oh, hi. I am Robyn and this is Girls Behaving Metaphysically. And as you might notice, I am only one girl, singular. I am not girls today because my co-host, Dr. Natacha Wilson, is not here today. So I'm on my own at a new time in a new place. So if you're watching this live right now, hi, and welcome to the very first show in this time slot. We are happy to be with you 3 o'clock Central, and then God knows what hour in Australia and all over the world. But you can do the math, and we're going to be here every Thursday at 3 o'clock Central Time. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on New Thought Media Network. And you don't want to miss us. But today, I am not only one girl behaving metaphysically, I'm going to bring in the bad boy of New Thought Media Network, our producer, Michael Mangus. Yes, that's
the
what I'm
bad
talking
boy
about.
of New Thought Media Network. Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah,
think, I think Robert would agree with that. Robert Brzezinski, my boss. Yeah.
You know, you just, it's you just have to live into those titles because, what do they really mean? But it's true,
I kind of follow my own drummer sometimes.
Yeah, but if we say, like, when we talk about somebody being badass, oh, she's a badass or he's a badass. So, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
All right.
It's all Sigma, as the teens would say these days.
All Sigma.
Sigma.
Well,
so,
I come from LA. I come from Lower Akron. Ohio,
okay.
That is.
You confused me there for a minute because I'm an LA girl. So anyway, if you haven't been here before, Girls Behaving Metaphysically is about seeing the metaphysical and the spiritual in everything. And so what we like to do to start off is to pull cards because as a metaphysical person, we're always looking for signs. We can make a sign out of anything. Do you do that, Michael? Do you like go, oh, the sun didn't come up on time, it must mean blah, blah, blah.
No.
Maybe not the sun, but you know what I mean.
You know what? For me, I don't, my background was that, I worked at a metaphysical bookstore for like 15 years, part-time. And so, I was around astrologers, tarot card readers, all kinds of folks. We had a array of crystals and for me, I have found that, I can ask for a sign or wisdom. I think that, but I usually don't though. I usually kind of know there's usually a knowingness inside about what to do and when to do. So I don't look, for example, like to,
you don't count on.
I have several decks of cards. Okay.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't use them on a regular basis. Usually when I go for a card reading, which has been a while, but it's somebody that I really know, and that it's someone who I feel comfortable in them reading my energy, because that's what's really going on. The cards are just a symbol.
Absolutely.
So whatever the cards say, I mean, it can say something maybe that's not positive, but again, that's just the direction that the individual is going. So it's more like, okay, do you want to continue going in that direction? So that's kind of my take on cards. But
right. And, I think that it's when we think about, there's looking for a sign and reading the signs. I think, and I'm going to generalize, this may or may not be true, but I feel like women put more into the signs, like,
okay,
oh, he didn't call. That means whatever. We make up stories. We make up a lot of stories, yeah, or we get a fortune cookie, that says, all things will be good in 5 days or something. And we're like, okay, that'll be Wednesday. Okay, Monday will be great. You know what I mean? I don't know.
yeah, I just, my caution is like with Ernest Holmes is that, and I think what was the emphasis in the change from the Science Mind textbook in the 20s to the 1938 edition was that, again, that people put too much emphasis on the psychic rather than taking charge of their lives and going, okay, this is what I need to do. So
right.
I'm hearing voices.
Right. All right, but we're going to pull a card. So
We're going to pull a card. That's good. That's a good thing.
Oh, yes, there are. If you hear voices, that's a sign. You see?
Is it a
It's gotta
sign?
be a sign.
Okay.
So we're going to pull a card. Yeah, it's a sign. I had brought 2 decks, not knowing whether or not Dr. Natacha would be here. I was going to pull from the Sacred Traveler deck, but then I have the Soulful Woman deck. And since if you
let's
watch
go
our
for
show,
that. Absolutely.
I knew you were going to say that, because inside of every person is a strong Black woman.
Right.
Remember, that's what Dr. Natacha said. So I don't want to generalize. I want you to get your strong woman on.
All
Get
right.
your strong woman on. Okay, so here we go. Tell me when you're ready to pick.
Okay, keep shuffling, keep shuffling, keep shuffling, and now.
Boundaries. Oh,
okay.
boundaries. Hold on, I'll show it to you. It says, it has a picture that says, my clear boundaries allow me to protect myself, nurture my intentions, and follow my true self. Can you see it?
Yes.
Very pretty card.
Very pretty card.
Boundaries.
I think boundaries are, I'll just speak for people who are in ministry, like you and I are, that I think the whole idea of self-care, taking care of ourselves, saying no, having time to go recharge the battery. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and on her Facebook post, she said, I feel like all my batteries are run dry. And that, yeah, if you don't take care of yourself, you have nothing to give to other people. So the whole idea of taking time for meditation, prayer, whatever that you want to call it, taking time for reading. I think that that's, taking time for you, for your own, to fill up your own batteries, because, and you, the one thing is that you don't have to do everything. Now one of the things I do for the network is I'm on the media team, and we go out and we provide streaming services to mostly New Thought and also spiritual organizations. So I'm going to a conference just for me right after working a series of conferences. And so that's, one of my boundaries there is I don't do any volunteer work. and that, and I see, when you put together, like, for example, like a conference, and you are a part of the team, you see stuff that maybe normally other people do not see.
Right.
So for me, I have to set a boundary for going to 1 or 2 conferences a year, usually one, in which I sit on my hands. And that if it blows up, it blows up.
Right.
It does not need my input. Like the last conference I went to with, I usually go with my, I have a mentor, ministerial mentor that we went last year. And there were some audio problems, and, I could have fixed it, but I didn't. I sat there and I just said, I told my mentor, I just said, if I start getting up, you don't have to tell me not to, but to say, is that something you really want to do?
I think, yeah, but you bring up a really clear point, and that it's the clarity. I mean, like it said, it's the clarity that helps you, to move forward in that. And it's not, boundaries don't always look pretty to people from the outside, right? Because they're used to you existing in one way, and then when you hold to a boundary, sometimes people don't understand. They're like, oh, they've changed, or something like that.
And I think,
Yeah. So,
go ahead.
go ahead.
I was thinking that one of the boundaries that, now I do things part-time, so it's not that I need like a day off, but I do take time during the week to nurture myself, to feed me. And again,
Right.
that's done through meditation, prayer, that's done through reading, that's done through continuing to become a better metaphysician, better practitioner, by becoming more aware of who I am.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I think that's a clear boundary to be able to be able to do. But and I think in ministry, the whole idea of taking time off, I've read on boards on even the religious science boards, individuals saying, well, ministers, if they're posting things about going to a theme park on Mondays or Tuesdays with their kids, that does not honor the people who have a 9-to-5 job. And that I just want to say that you don't understand that those individuals have already put in probably a 60 to 80 hour week so far, and that they deserve time to go be with their families and to
Right.
nurture themselves. So I think sometimes people think that that being in ministry is being the Superman or Superwoman. Well, I think it's also meaning that you take time out for yourself and learn how to nurture yourself. So,
Well, yeah, and I think that's such a great point. I mean, we could do a whole show on that, right? Because I think the general populace doesn't understand that ministry is 24/7. that, even if your minister isn't at the office 40 hours a week, that has nothing to do with what your minister's doing. And I say this being married to a minister, that it's all the time, and people
Yeah,
don't understand that.
yeah, and you're on call.
You're
And
on
that
call.
you're on call, and to set, sometimes limits need to be, boundaries need to be set, again, especially on days off. I know I've heard of some ministers, what they do is they turn their phones completely off. They have they allow themselves kind of a tech-free day, no
Mhm.
answering emails, no being on the internet, again, just being with themselves. Again, that's a form of a boundary and taking care of oneself. Now, not everyone has to do that, I don't
Right.
think, but I think it's, uh, but the tendency that I've seen, and again, I have friends of mine who are uh, helping other individuals, is that uh, the tendency is to help, and then not take care of themselves.
Right. So I think that's where this card that we pulled, boundaries, if you joined us after we pulled the card, because we see you out there, um, and we know who you really are, by the way. So just so you know.
Yes.
But I think that's where boundaries, because boundaries, they're so specific to the person, right? So when this card came up for me, it came up in relation to, all the projects I do, and, this being one of them. And what are my boundaries with this project? How do I move forward and stay in integrity with myself and with everything? You know what I mean? And so I just think boundaries, I think that's an interesting card that everybody can reflect on, because we all have them. Some of us need to pay more attention to them. Some of us need to create them. I mean, there's different things, but I think, like the card says, boundaries. If you set up boundaries, it does give you the opportunity to get clearer on your intention, clearer on what you want, clearer on your true self. Like you said, nurturing and taking the time, and all of those things are super important.
And understand that if you've been caretaking a lot, that once you start taking time for yourself, is that you may be called selfish. And to have the spiritual fortitude on saying, well, thank you for sharing that.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you a story about that before we go to break, because this is what I here's the boundary. Here's a boundary for you all. So generally, if any of you have kids, you know that you can go round and round and round on the same issues for years. Years. Like, why can't you put your dish in the dishwasher? Don't you? Okay. So yesterday we sat down with our teenager and, had a conversation. I just had a conversation about, look, if you're going to stay here, because he's our godson and he's living with us, if you're going to stay here, I cannot keep having this conversation. We have got to figure out a way for you to be successful in doing the things I need you to do. And he was like, yeah, I mean, he's always really great about, yeah, Grandma, yeah, like he really gets it. Your shoes can't be where you take them off, because everything, it's like there's a trail. You could follow the trail to find him, because everything's scattered everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had eaten dinner. He'd eaten 2 peaches after that, and he went to get another one. And I said, no, you're done with peaches. You're done with food. You're done with dinner. It's time for you to go to bed. We're done. And he was like, okay. And I walked out of the room and I came back in and he was like, and I'm like, what are you eating? He's like,
another peach.
Yeah, another peach.
Yeah.
And so I said to him, I said, you know what? I am tired of this. I told you how I feel about, being disrespected and being lied to. And you were clear that you weren't supposed to have a peach. I said, so I'm not taking you to school in the morning. Now, mind you, he gets up he has to be to school at, well, this week at 7:30 for football practice. He has to be there at 7. So we leave at 6:30. And school is 2.3 miles away.
Okay.
And he was like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm not going to do it. Why? But I set the boundary. My point is I set the boundary. I was like, Godbaba can take you to school, whatever needs to happen, but I'm not taking you. So if you need to get up earlier to walk, I'll wake you up earlier. So of course we had a long discussion about that, but lo and behold, he walked this morning. I mean, and he's a negotiator. So it's never an easy, like, okay. It's always like, but I told you I was eating a peach when you asked. I said, yeah, but I asked you not to eat the peach, but I had to hold the boundary. And that's so hard with kids. Cause like, he had to leave the house at 6 a.m. to walk, and it's warm outside.
Yes.
in New Mexico and warmed up, so, but holding that boundary and holding those boundaries, I mean, I now understand when my mom or some adult used to go, this is more painful for me than it is for you. Because it is. It's like, well, having to hold that boundary, but it was for my own, I had to do it, and what was so funny was he walked out the door and he came back in the door and he's like, oh, I forgot to brush my teeth. Every morning we tell him, did you brush your teeth? Did you take your pills? Did you da-da-da-da? But we didn't do that. And so it literally sent his brain into more responsibility mode. He came back in because he remembered he forgot to do it, where I think without me having set that boundary, he was just on autopilot. So it was good for both of us, is what I think. We'll see.
Yeah. Kids need, teenagers, I know that they'll hate you, but, again, clear boundaries. They may not like it in the moment, but later on that the tendency is to say thank you.
Right.
That you did.
20 years later, they'll say thank you.
Well, and it's just,
okay.
I think also, raising responsible children that who have behaviors that, I think that's hopefully that when he gets involved with women is that that the woman that he's with will appreciate that, he keeps his shoes at a certain place. And I mean, so I now.
Or even his college roommate,
So somebody now I know probably out there's probably individuals say, well, that's just teenagers. Yeah. And that to raise teenagers is again that having clear set boundaries, having consequences is a part of the responsibility of being their parent and to kind of guide and direct them on the way. Now, so that when they get to a point that they go ahead and they, is that you let them loose on the world, is that hopefully that some of the things have, sticks, and that they're able to be, responsible in the world, and, so that they don't keep, coming home and, or, depending upon their parents. So,
right.
It's
definitely a both and.
Yeah. I think again, raising kids is not for sissies. It's something that, you really have to, again, to be able to say no, to have boundaries and to say no and to say, listen, I asked you to clean your room and you didn't do it. There's consequences to that. Give me all your electronics.
Yeah.
That's how you punish. That's how you punish kids now. Is you just take away all their screen time and their toys, and they. I don't know what to do now. So
that's true. They don't. It's true. That's a whole nother show too. But yeah, it's definitely a new world. And but it's a good learning. Kids are a good learning.
But yeah, before we go to break, though, I think the whole idea of learning what you need to say no to so that you have space for yourself. I think that's really important to know that you do not have to get up during the conference and go fix something, especially if you're not being paid for it and you're there just for the conference.
Right.
So,
well, and but you said it really. Learning what you need to say no to. I think so that your yes can thrive or be
yes.
alive. Because otherwise we're just denying, our essences, our true self, our desires. I mean, the minute we start to feel that, I don't want to, or why me, or not again, or any of those things, there's a recalibration that can happen for our good. So why don't you recalibrate in this moment, and we'll be back in just a few minutes right here on New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here come the girls. Way more than merely factual. If you want to know the secrets of a life that's free, listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Welcome back to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. If you are watching us right now, we are live, and I am Robyn Rice Olmsted, along with my producer, the bad boy of New Thought Media, Reverend Michael Mangus. It's gonna stick.
It's gonna stick. Yeah, they'll say at ordination panels, they'll say, Reverend Mangus said you've been known as the bad boy of New Thought Media. Say,
and
yeah.
You will say, absolutely.
That's right. I own that because
that's right.
Yeah. I was thinking during the break that it's, with boundaries is that how do you, as a minister's wife, how do you set boundaries? The tendency is for the minister's wife to be the unpaid assistant minister, and to the sometimes is that means that the women of your congregation will feel more comfortable in talking about some of their issues and challenges to you rather than with the male minister. The other thing too is that in, I don't care if it's New Thought or traditional church, is that the minister's wife is also expected to help with the baking, with the putting together the food and
Help with
things like
everything,
that.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's whatever. And that, so how do you, so how are you able to set boundaries with that?
I think it's a great question. And I think that what we did in setting up this church when Gil took this church on was that Gil, my husband, moved here first and was in New Mexico basically almost for 2 years before I came, which is just recently. And I think that was super important because even before he was the minister of a church, like everyone who knows us sees us as Robyn and Gil and Robyn, like we're
Yes.
inseparable,
Mhm.
And so, and yeah, and it's true. I mean, when he was candidating, someone said, "Well, how much input is your wife going to have?" Yeah, which
Yeah.
is a funny question. But he was like, "Well, I'm not going to lie." He's like, "My wife is who I talk to." She's a practitioner. She's, the person I talk to and I talk things through with. So, on that level, she's gonna it's gonna be important. But is it what she says? It's more of a sounding board. So I think this particular church, what I'm saying is they didn't get that image to start with because I wasn't here. And that's really helpful. I do feel that responsibility sometimes. I mean, obviously, I do feel like, I know like in church, there's times when he says something from the pulpit or he'll tell a story, and I could feel them all looking at me like, what's she going to do? But I don't really feel that. I mean, most of it I'm able to do from a place of joy and wanting to do it. Like I did bake the other day,
Okay.
which I was like, "Huh, I should bake. I'm the minister's wife. I should bake for this thing that we were doing." So I don't think it's as expected here as it might be had we been together the whole time. And
That
I do pull boundaries. I mean, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say that was a very interesting question to ask during candidating is how much input. See, now I would have went ahead and I would said, talk to me about what that means. What does it mean input? Does it mean just verbal? Does it mean activity in the church? I would have gotten a little more clear about what that meant. Because for me, I mean, when you would ask me, well, how much input would my wife have? Well, again, yeah, to bounce things off of,
Mhm.
without breaking confidences. Um, the one thing that I've had to teach uh, Diana is that there's some things I can't talk about.
Oh, that's a big one. That's a big.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not hiding it from my spouse, but it's just saying that, okay, if I come in upset or I look like drained, that what's going on? I can't really talk about.
Mm.
Or I'll say, I just had I just had an interaction with someone, and I can't talk about. it's those things that, but it does not mean I don't talk about them.
Right.
What it means is I take those things that I really am having challenges with, is I take it to other ministers who are thousands of miles away,
Right.
maybe get some feedback on it. Because that's the whole thing. And I've noticed this, and especially the past few years with COVID, is that there's a lot of ministers who are, no matter what the denomination or belief, getting out of the ministry because it tends to be an extremely lonely job. So what I've done for myself is to set up a team of individuals around that I can go and share with on a regular basis about not only what's going on in me, but also what's going on in ministry.
Right.
And that sometimes, because my wife is involved, is that I can't say anything about it. I remember there were situations where individuals, it was in the news.
Right.
I couldn't say anything.
Yeah. No, I get it.
So-
We've had that. I remember when he was a minister somewhere else, and like 3 years later, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that so and so did such and such. And he was like, I was like, you knew? He goes, I couldn't talk about it. I was like, you couldn't tell me this? He's like, I couldn't talk about it. I was like,
Yeah, I mean, it's a fine line so if I start breaking confidences with the people, then they don't trust me. Okay, that they tell me something, that I keep it in confidence unless there is an agreement that I get feedback maybe from Diana or from other people.
Mhm.
So
Well,
I think
and again,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, again, it's a boundary, right? It's a boundary that you're thinking about and you're looking at, and you set up the boundary, whereas some other ministers do it a different way. And I may go, well, that's not in integrity, or that's not this, or that's not that, but it's the way it's the way they set up that space for themselves. So,
Well, and
yeah.
again, that you're said through. First of all, I have to put this up here. This is a disclaimer here. Oh, I can't.
Hard to
Oh,
multitask.
yeah. Here you go. Robyn is not a minister, nor does she play one on TV.
So true. So true. It's so funny. I mean, but it's funny because somebody, after you did that, like somebody's like, from the pulpit here, they were introducing something, and they're like, something I was doing, and they're like, are you a minister? You're a minister, right? I'm like, nope, not a minister.
I think it takes more than just, people, they often say, well, they talk about the calling. I think it takes a lot more than just the calling. It takes also the gift set to be able to deal with all the other stuff that is dealt with during the week before you see your minister on Sunday mornings dance and prance across the stage.
Well, but even if you don't want to be a pulpit minister, I mean, full disclosure, I do have the online ordination thing. I've had it for like 20 something years, so I guess I could say I was a minister. I mean, but the reason I'm not a minister, technically, like that I didn't go through Emerson or Holmes or Agape or any of those places, is because I really felt like as a practitioner, I could do all the things I wanted to do. I don't feel like I don't feel any different than a minister. I know that ministers do a lot of more things and all those things, but those aren't the things I want to do. I feel like the important part for me was being able to open up that space and hold people in a place of being their, shining their light, being their infinite possible self, living into their infinite possibility and those kind of things, and ministering to them in that way,
Mhm.
in that, so I felt like I don't need any more letters. I don't need it, but I get that, other people have other reasons,
Well, I
but
mean,
that
I,
was
I
my
think
reason.
I think having credentials to be able uh, to maybe do a backup if there is a wedding that for some reason that Gil can't do, and you do not have another uh, minister of the denomination around, is that sometimes you have to go out there and do it. So I don't find I think that's a nice thing that you do. You didn't have to do it, but I think you're right. And I think it gets down to what you're calling.
Yeah.
What are you really called to do?
Right.
What do what does your soul long to do? I was last summer, I was just kind of thinking about, well, do I want to take a church? Do I want to continue with New Thought Media Network? What do I want to do? And I sat down at over breakfast with another minister, and we were talking, and she just looked at me and she said, Michael, she says, what does your heart say?
Mm-hmm.
What does your heart say? And once she went ahead and just voiced it that way, then I was able then to say, really to listen to my heart and go, yeah, I really like doing what I'm doing right now. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to continue doing what I'm doing right now with New Thought Media Network,
Right.
or again with some other media ministry, because that I have the gift sets to be able to do that, and
Right.
yeah. So I think that and for me, part of my ministry is to the world. It's not just to a local congregation.
Absolutely.
It's the we. It's going and saying to someone in Australia, or someone in uh, England, or someone in Europe or Africa, is that the same principles that work here work there,
Right.
and that this is an extremely practical spirituality that, if given a chance, will really change your life. And that, again, that the conference I'm going to in a few weeks, I'm signed up to like a minister's conclave that's before the conference. The whole idea of church is changing, and that
Absolutely.
it's a lot quicker than maybe some people wanted it to. But there was hints of this 40, 50 years ago, because I read it in
Absolutely.
books, that
Yeah.
there would be kind of a decentralization of church, and minister as figurehead, minister as leader
Right.
would change to more of a minister as counselor,
Mm-hmm.
minister as spiritual director,
Right.
minister as being able to broaden broaden what it means to be ministry. And again, I never thought that I'd be doing this. This was not my idea at all. I
Oh,
thought I
I
was
hear
going to
you.
go. I thought I was going to go take a church. I thought I was going to go, and then I just said, I need to be doing this. This is what my heart calls me to do. So to be able to, and I think especially, I encourage everyone again to get in touch with your heart. What does your heart say?
Well,
You
and I
know?
think that's where we started this conversation on some level when we were talking about the signs, and whether it's a sign but it's really listening to what does your heart say? What is your passion? What fills your soul? And really paying attention to that, and then taking that out into the world. I think it's, yeah, and it's funny. I mean, so somehow boundaries really played into this episode. So we have just a little bit more time, and I want to take these last few minutes to talk about girls behaving metaphysically, because I want you to know what's coming up on our show, and I want to brainstorm with you, Michael, and with the listeners if there's something special they want to see. Because really, my idea is, we really it started out because we really did want to just bring the metaphysical, the spiritual to everything. That there's not things that aren't aren't spiritual just because you don't like to do them.
Right.
It's finding the spiritual in everything. And I'm looking forward to having some exciting guests on. And I thought maybe you might have some ideas for some exciting guests. It can be girls, but we're the girls behaving metaphysically. I'm open to all genders, and just, because really there's so many people doing such great work out in the world. And I know you were sharing some ideas with me earlier, and there's a few people I want to ask, but I really want to talk to some people doing some exciting things. So share some of your ideas.
Well, I think always on my heart has been the whole idea of empowerment, is that, to encourage women to take their power back from a male-dominated society, is to go ahead and just say, you know what, I may not be able to physically do it, but you know what, I have gifts and abilities that are extremely powerful.
Right.
So I think that taking one's power back is very, I think, especially with women, I think is a very critical thing. So to talk about that, and to go against the norm of, that, and who says that you have to be, a housewife? I mean, the discussion that we've had in the news about a certain vice presidential candidate going ahead and saying, well, women should have children. That is their role. Really?
Right.
How about, for example, and one of the examples given is, how about Catholic nuns? You mean that they're not powerful just because that they don't have children?
Right.
It gives individuals, again, who give up having a relationship like that, to, again, the focus being on the world and also on God. It doesn't necessarily mean everyone has to do that. I'm just saying that people having choice to be able to do that and to come from a place of power, I think that's extremely important. I remember when my aunt was, she celebrated like 60 years she was a Catholic nun, and that I went to her anniversary. And what I was really struck, yes, it was the men doing the ecclesiastical stuff, but it was the women who led it. It was the women who went ahead and were extremely powerful in their execution of the word, their execution of being able to put together a meaningful liturgy. So again, to be able to, so that's one idea. The other idea is to talk about the women of New Thought, and to, we can maybe get from the Science Mind Archives, Kathy Mastriani, to come on and to talk about that. She's been involved in a couple of roundtables that I've seen about how powerful women have shaped our teaching. So that's an idea.
Yeah, I'd love that. And I'd love to do, I know, there's some relationship coaches out there, and there's people doing there's people doing so many things. I can think of the people more than what they're doing, but we have so many powerful people in our movement and in New Thought, period. And so, yeah, we're going to approach many subjects and bring the spiritual out in all of them. Some of those things where you might go, wait, how does that work? But I think it's super important to explore that.
Now, I thought there was going to be more drinking on this program. When we were putting together this program earlier in the year, it was mentioned that there would be like a cocktail of the week.
Right.
There would be drinking on this program, and I have not seen very much drinking.
Not seen very much. It's as our champagne budget has been cut. So we will have to get creative there. If you're looking to sponsor anyone and you want to send alcohol, we'll take it. Yeah, but now that we're moving to 3:00, we can do that's cocktail hour for sure.
No, it's 5:00 here.
Exactly.
So you can go ahead. So it's, you can go ahead.
It's definitely, it's the beginning of cocktail hour here. It's 5:00 there. LA, it's an hour earlier, but in LA, there's no time or space. So we'll have to figure it out. So if you have a cocktail of the week that you'd like to submit, feel free to do it. You can send it to us, and we'll make sure that we mix it up.
And Robyn may do that.
I'll do it. I'm a gamer. I will take one for the team.
You will. I think now she has in the past had some alcoholic beverages in
I
her.
have in my trusty cup. I do. Well, I'm a pleaser. I wanted to make you happy, Michael. And we did say there would be drinking. We did say, as you see on our logo, we have a champagne bottle,
Right.
And that just came up because people would be like, you drink, you do this, you do that, and especially at church, you do that. How do you swear at church? Yes.
Well, yes. And again, I've created banners over the past couple of years for Robyn, just to let you know once again that Robyn is not an attorney also, and she does not play one on TV. However, she is a Hollywood actor, and she does perform her own stunts.
And like drinking. I am so good at drinking. I'm a master.
This has been fun today.
It has been fun.
Yeah, good.
Maybe it should be girl and boy behaving metaphysically.
Well, it's
a slippery slope. But anyway, we will be back. If you are watching this replay on Tuesday, join us on Thursday, our new time.
Right.
And we will be live on Thursday, I think. And whenever you join us,
what's the alternative of being live?
So true. It's so true.
I mean, we have to record sometime.
There you have.
We have to be live at some time.
Yeah, we are always live.
Live.
Okay.
All right.
So I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful to New Thought Media Network. I'm so glad that there's a space where we can talk about things like this and talk about things you want to hear about and bring them up. So please let us know what that is, and especially get that cocktail submission in. And if you're so inclined, if you've enjoyed this show or any of the shows on New Thought Media Network, please donate to us at newthoughtmedia.org. There is always, we are always grateful. We are always grateful. And what that provides is more programming and cocktails. No, just kidding. Just kidding. It provides no, but it helps us to do the other work we're doing.
Yeah,
out in
for
the
me,
world,
it's
'cause
rides from the airport to
there
the
you go.
conferences. So, yeah,
Uber contacts. But we're doing a lot of things out in the world that you can't see. And so we are very socially active here and we believe in supporting the causes. And so if you support us, we'll support right back out there.
absolutely.
So that's what I have to say. Thank you again. Thank you, Michael Mangus, for stepping in. Thank you, Dr. Natacha, for just being you. And we'll
And
see you
thank
next
you,
week.
Robyn Rice Olmsted, for being such the wonderful hostess that you are. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. So join us next week and we'll see you then. Thursdays at 3 o'clock Central. Bye, everybody.